So what I want to walk you guys through today is essentially how to do a very simple design in Fusion, but also how to make a multicolored design in Fusion. And I'm going to show you how you can use your Bambu Labs printer to print a multi-design as essentially one piece, or actually make it as two pieces, which can help you guys when you're actually trying to print a lot of things, or you're trying to not create so much waste, because the Bambu Lab printers do create a lot of waste when they're constantly changing colors. So for starters here, we're going to grab a sketch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm making a triangle or an arrow, excuse me, that you can basically just spin with a magnet. And that's going to go on the posts for our pickleball paddle holders, basically tell people who's up next. So I'm going to create a line here, and very simple. I'm just going to grab this across, and then I'm going to select this, use Control, select both of those, grab a midpoint there. Then I'm just going to bring this up, bring it over, and basically just make my simple shape here. So I'm going to also add a center line here. So I'm just hitting L for my hotkey, and then I'm going to come over here and make that a center line. So I know I approximately want this to be about 75, 80 millimeters wide. I know that I'm going to put some rounds on here, so I'm just going to set some approximate dimensions, and really this is just sort of eyeballing it. I don't want you to get too stuck in the fact that, hey, this needs to be exactly these dimensions or perfect, but just like this, select my center line. Now it's mirrored, and now I can also just play around here and get a better idea for what this looks like. And you can see right now my triangle is constrained by those dimensions. So maybe I want to make it a little bit taller, so maybe I'll make this 100 millimeters. I kind of want this to actually be somewhat symmetrical, so to speak, so that way it's nice and easy. And what I'm also going to do is trim this guy and this guy. We're going to do 2.5, and that should be perfect. Grab these guys as well. I'm just holding Control and clicking Enter. Nice and simple. You can also do the lower portion here. We're going to do 2.5. 2.5 there, and then finally at the top. So everything has a nice round to it. And I kind of like how this is. But essentially, I'm going to want to eventually make an outline. So if we just click Finish and we extrude this, and let's just say we're going to make this maybe a centimeter thick, so 10 millimeters. If I just made this, this would just be one nice color. It's pretty simple, straightforward. But what I'd really like is to do a red inner and then a black outline around it. So easy way to do that, I'm going to go back to the sketch. I'm just going to grab my offset tool. I'm going to grab this. Now, if the outer dimensions are what I want fixed, then I will put this on the inside. If the inner dimensions are minimums, and I potentially want it to be larger than that, then I can go on the outside. So for this, I'm going to go on the inside, and all I'm going to do is say, let's make this 5 millimeters. So now it's 5 millimeters thick on the inside. So maybe that's too much, maybe it's too little, but for now we can sort of feel it out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to this extrude, and this time I'm just going to select the outside, I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to hit extrude again. I'm going to come over here, display the sketch, and I'm going to do the inside. I'm going to do 10 millimeters again. This time I'm going to select a new body though. So now I have two bodies. I can hide the sketch here. And then if I want, I can actually go and change the appearance. So if I go over here and I do physical material, I can change the physical material, but I can also change the appearance in there. So let me select this here. Here's our appearance. So maybe I just want to make this plastic, and I just want to give this a color. Looks like I don't have too many colors in there, so I'm just going to do paint for now. We're just going to do glossy, because most of them are here. And so this I want to have as black, the outer piece, and then the inner piece I want to grab as red, and you can just drag it right on. And then so now I know, okay, this is what my arrow is going to look like. So maybe I actually want a radius the inside as well. It's really personal preference if you want to. I do think that this portion of the arrow is a little bit too long, so I can just jump back in here. Maybe I'll just make this 90. Oh, excuse me. So I lost some constraints there. So I'm going to grab a line here. I'm going to constrain this vertical. Now when I grab this 90, it's going to shrink that down. You can see it only actually shrunk down the top and didn't shrink down the portion that I wanted. So we're going to grab this dimension here, grab this, and we're going to make this 45. That's going to pull that down. And you can see because I made these fillets and things, I actually lost that mirroring. So I can just come over here, grab this, make it equal to, and that's going to make it exactly the same. However, you notice it's a little bit oblong, so I am losing some of my other dimensions here. So I'm just gonna grab this one, create driven, grab this guy. This should be this guy divided by 2. And then now we should have a nice symmetrical arrow. Now I still have to do the circular cutout for the magnet as well. But for the most part, this is basically my super simple arrow. But this is going to print as one piece. So if I bring this over to Bambu Labs here, so I'm gonna go to prepare, I'm just gonna add another sheet here. So bring this in, jump back over here. So I'm gonna save this as a mesh, save it. Actually, let's name these things. So we'll name this arrow outer, the 1.0. Always good to version them. That way, you know, if you make changes, you can easily identify which is which later on. So I'm gonna hit File, Save as Mesh. Oops. And again, I know I still have to add the magnet, but I just want to show you guys how easy this process is. So we're gonna go over here. We're gonna go to the Downloads folder, grab both of these. We're gonna click yes, and then we're going to select these as flat. So it's really hard to tell, but there's actually 2 pieces here. So what I can do is I can change the filament. So let's resync. See, there we go, I got all my colors. So I don't have red and black loaded, but for now, we're going to show you how it's done. So I want to just go in here and let's say make this pink. Right now it's selecting all of them, but I can go over here and I can go to, I want to, let's see, split the objects. Oh, there we go. All right, so now I've selected just one object. So now I can change my filament. Let's make this maybe, you know, the red portion. Then I can grab the outside and I can make this my black portion. So just like that, I have my 2 colors, and now this is going to print as one solid piece. However, if I go and I slice this, apologize, it's cut off for you a little bit there. You notice I have black and in this case pink instead of red on every single layer. So if I have black and pink on every single layer, I'm not sure why I'm getting, that's a little weird, like reflection artifact. But if I have black and red or black and pink on every single layer, I'm going to create a lot of purge and a lot of waste. So a better way to do this would be actually split these up into 2 separate parts. So now we're going to jump back and I'm going to show you guys how to do that quite simply. So if we go back over here to the sketch, what I'm going to do is actually going to make one more offset. Let's try this again. It's getting a little angry at me for some reason. There we go. So instead of the 5 millimeters that was before, I'm going to have, let's say, a 0.5 millimeter gap. So I'm going to do 5.5. And now that's going to create a small gap in here. And so, again, this is sort of quick and dirty just to show the general premises, but I'm going to hit OK here. I'm going to finish my sketch. And let's see. This is the outer. This is the inner. I'm going to go and I'm going to clear what I selected. And now I'm actually just going to grab that inner plate. And now you can see that there's actually a gap here. So now we have 2 separate parts. So if we bring this in and we print this on our Bambu Labs printer, we're going to actually end up with 2 completely separate parts. And that's not going to be good because we're not going to have attached parts. So we need to connect them. Now you could just glue them or something like this, but what I'm going to show you is just, we'll go here, we'll create a sketch, be nice and simple. And one thing that you can do is, depending on the face you're doing, I like to just do a nice simple diagonal. If we're just going to add a single bolt here, we're just going to go here. I know for an M3, I typically like to do 3.25. And all we're going to do is just do an extrude straight through to the other side, nice and simple. And then we're going to hide the outer. We're going to go over here to create. We're going to grab the thread tool. We're going to grab this guy and we're going to select the modeled. And then we have M3 modeled threads, just like so. And then we're going to drop that just like that. So now we have 3.25, so we have a little bit of a clearance on the outside, and then we have a threaded hole on the inside. So now when we drop this in, we can literally bolt this in. Now I could go and add another one up here and another one up here. This is gonna be against a piece of metal, so I'm really not too worried about it. But what if we say, hey, we wanna countersink this? So it's as simple as going over here. I'm gonna make sure I use my C for a circle tool. Again, I'm using hotkeys, so sorry about that. I'm just gonna make this 6 millimeters. It should clear the head of my bolt. And now I'm gonna do another extrude. Grab just these outer rings. and I'm going to go minus 2 millimeters. And you can see that because we have 5 millimeters, that's still plenty. And now I'm going to do that on the other side as well. So again, I'm going to grab the extrude. In this case, I'm going to go from an object. I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go 2 millimeters again, cut. And then now you can see, once I had that sketch, it'll be a little bit easier. I have a nice countersunk for my M3 bolt. So that way it's not going to be on the outside of this piece. And now all I have to do is go and add the magnet portion for the center triangle. But very, very simple. Now, when I go and I save these, so we're gonna save this as V1.1. Always good to revision. Now we go over to our Bambu Labs file here. Gonna delete these two. Now I'm just gonna bring in one at a time. Set this flat. So now we have our inner, which again, I can set this to whatever color I want. And now I can print this singular piece. Again, I'm gonna have no problems printing it because I don't have any crazy overhangs or anything. And notice I have no purge no tower. So I'm gonna have no waste. And then if I bring in the other piece here, I can bring this guy in. We're gonna set this to black, set this flat. And again, now I'm just gonna print this one black piece and have very little waste. And so I'm gonna undo this because I wanna show you one more thing. So if I left this as is, if we go and slice plate and we look in the top right, this would have taken approximately 2.5 hours. And for the actual model, I would have had 35 grams. But I would have had actually total 51. So as far as waste, I would have had almost 16 grams of just pure waste, which is quite unfortunate. Whereas now, if I go and I speed this up, so if I make this guy and I slice this, you can see this is 40 minutes. If I go back and prepare, I slice this, this is 30 minutes. So now we're at 1 hour and 10 minutes versus what did I say, 4 hours before, or 2.5 hours. So I'm saving almost an hour of print time, as well as now I have two pieces where if I want to make a design change on one, it doesn't necessarily require me to produce an entirely new piece again. I can just change the sections that I want. If I want to add a feature to the inside, if I want to change the outside, I can do that. Now, if I change the overall dimensions, I am going to have to change both pieces. But designing like this, with that flexibility to attach and retouch things is really good, not only for saving yourself time and material, but also if you're going through an iterative design process, this is really beneficial for you because, hey, if I make a design for when I go and I make a sketch here, let's say I want to go add this into the middle. So I'm just going to add a line from top to bottom. And we're going to find the midpoint there. And so I think I actually have 1 inch, so we'll just put 1.125 inch. And even if I'm in metric, I can do things like this where it will convert it to millimeters because that is what my document settings are right now. And so if I make this cut out, and let's just drop this, let's just say negative 0.25. Oh. And see there, I forgot that I was in millimeters. So if I want to do negative 0.25 inches, just because that's the dimensions of the magnet here, if I make this and it ends up being the wrong size, I can easily redimension this, reprint this piece, and it's much faster to iterate and make that change to this piece because I can unbolt it from the separate piece and I don't have to create the entire structure again. So whenever you're prototyping or designing things, when you're trying to just build quickly and fail quickly, you want to make things like this where you can quickly attach, detach things, not be stuck into, hey, I built the entire thing and now I have to start over. Quick iteration is one of the main benefits of 3D printing, and the fact that even doing better design work ahead of time so that you can iterate even faster allows you to get designs out sooner, quicker, and more easily, and making sure that they're accurate when you start actually producing these. So that is pretty much all I wanted to show you guys today. I'm going to finish up the design work on these, print them out, and then hopefully next week we'll have a full finished video on the full pickleball setup. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.